After all, she could faintly see her own body. Without doubt, there was some source of light. But even when she looked up at the ceiling, or else the sky, there was only an expanse of blackness, and she couldn't see any such thing. Her body alone was slightly lit, whereas everything else was sunk in darkness. And that's what this world was like. It was almost as though Rosa alone had been abandoned in a forgotten world. As her mind grew clearer, she started getting nervous about why she was all alone in a lonely place like this. When she was about to call out, asking if anyone was there, patter, patter, she heard footsteps going towards her. They were light footsteps, so she thought it was probably a kid. Well, I guess there is no room for doubt. Something bad is gonna happen. They didn't feel creepy to her, so she wasn't afraid. But they also weren't Maria's footsteps, so wondering who in the world would be in the darkness like this, she stared in the direction she could hear the footsteps from. As she did, a faint, approaching silhouette came into view. He looked like a child much younger than Maria. Oh my! Sakataro! Who is that? I didn't know him. But the expression on his face was like a lost child, separated from his parents. Okay, well, this can actually be good. Like, here we have Rosa meeting Sakataro. And they both can talk about Maria. This can be good. As a parent with a daughter myself, I felt as though my chest was being torn apart.
Uryu.
The instant the kid muttered that infantile word, I felt a sharp pain in the half of my face that was aching from the cold floor, as though it had been pierced by long, thin, hard needles. I reflexively pressed my hand against that side of my face.
大丈夫？まだ痛い？
ありがとう、僕。ここはどこ？すごく寒いわ。
こっちへ来て。ここにいちゃいけない。
He took my other hand and pulled, with a grin expression on his face. I don't have a clue what's going on. However, a single honest expression from a child can often tell the truth better than 100 empty words from an adult. She didn't understand the situation, but even so, Rosa dashed along with him wherever she was pulled. Okay. However, this was a world where nothing could be seen in the darkness except their own forms. She couldn't even really feel whether she was actually moving forwards. She couldn't even really feel whether she was actually moving forwards as she ran. Even though I'm running, I cannot even feel any wind. It's as though I'm still inside a nightmare. That kind of unreal feeling. So even though I was running, I couldn't maintain my sense of balance, and my legs got tangled and I fell. Even in a world that didn't feel real, the pain of smashing my face against the cold, hard floor was reality itself.
ウリュウ、大丈夫？
ごめんなさいね。頭が痛むの。
When he said that infantile word, Uryu, pain like being stuck with needles ran through my head again. Even though it had only happened once, even though it had only happened twice, I was somehow able to understand that his word was the cause of my pain. So I said so frankly.
ごめんなさい。その、ウリュウという口癖をやめてもらえる？
ウリュウ。
ちょっと、やめてって言ってるでしょ。
ごめんなさい。
This time, I got the feeling that this word of apology made me feel a sharp pain in my forehead. Pretty understandable, given what you did to him, Rosa. What is this child? I know there's no malice in him, but when I'm around him, my head hurts.
大丈夫？早く行こう。ここは行っちゃダメ。
どうしてここにいちゃダメなの？ねえ、ここはどこ？あなたは誰？あなたのママはどこ？
僕を作ってくれたのはママだよ。
え？
He stared at me with round eyes. This kid's mama is me? Who is he? Who is this kid? I don't remember at all.
僕のこと忘れちゃった？ママが僕を作ったんだよ。
ちょっと冗談はやめて。私の子供はマリアだけよ。そう。マリアはどこ？マリアはどこなの？マリア！
I suddenly grew uneasy about Maria not being there. Why am I all alone in a place like this? Where's Maria? Maria being there for me is the only thing that keeps me together.
マリアはいるけど、今はマリアじゃない。今は会わない方がいいの。その方がママのためだし、マリアのためなの。マリアのためにも逃げて。
え？何を言ってるの？マリアはどこ？マリア！返事をして！
マリアに見つかっちゃう。早くこっちに来て、ママ！
He pulled my hand again. He was probably pulling me in the opposite direction from Maria. So I stopped in my tracks.
話してよ。大体あなたは誰よ？あなたにママなんて言われる覚えはないわよ。
僕を作ってくれたのはママだよ。忘れちゃったの？マリアのバースデープレゼントにするために僕を手作りしてくれたの忘れちゃったの？
あなたまさか
The one and only.
マリアの作太郎。
うん。ママに作ってもらったライオンのぬいぐるみだよ。
A fierce, sharp pain struck me. It came from the palm of the hand he was grasping. I instinctively knocked his hand away, and when I looked at my palm, a hole the size of a thumb had opened there, and thick, deep red blood was gushing out. It was a hole so big that I could see through to the other side.
ウリュウ、大丈夫？大丈夫？どうしたの？
Sakutaro also noticed my wound and panicked. Judging by his reaction, he couldn't understand why my hand had sustained a serious injury. But to my eyes, I felt like I had sustained that injury because he had grabbed my hand. Whether there was malice in him or not, I understood that this child was something that would do harm to me, and he instantly became strange and frightening.
あっちへ行って。あなたなんか知らないわ。作太郎は気持ち悪い下手くそなぬいぐるみでしょ。
Hey, well, that's a bad start. For once, can't you just stay calm and not say stupid stuff like that?
私は知らないわよ。ママなんかじゃないわよ。あっちへ行って。消えて。
リュウ。
Slowly, the base of Sakutaro's neck tore in a horizontal line, gaped open, and the pitch blackness inside him peeked out. There was no gushing blood, only an endlessly empty blackness. And then, from the inside of the gash, cotton snow poured out. He slumped over, scattering bits of cotton about. All that remained there was crumpled yellow cloth, and bits of cotton that looked like sticky, crushed cotton candy. Darn. There goes the hopes of Rosa and Sakutaro having like a healthy discussion together and talk about their situation. You know, like create some connection between the two and, you know, have Rosa reflect on her past actions. But nah, we cannot have none of that. A lion, stuffed animal. Without a doubt, they were the remains of the Sakutaro stuffed animal I had torn apart on that day, overcome by my emotions. The instant I admitted that, a long, sharp shriek that could rupture an eardrum tore the world apart. Like a flood from a broken dam, or like a broken TV. Maria wailed in a high-pitched voice. Maria's voice, which made the ears throb, brought up two emotions. The first was regret. I let my emotions get the better of me and committed a terrible mistake. My mother's desire to kneel down right away, hold Maria's head, cry with her and apologize. And in fact, I did that right away. I held Maria's head and apologized in tears for what I had done. But Maria didn't stop crying. On the contrary, she rejected me, the one who had torn her closest friend apart, and pushed me away forcefully with both hands. Since I had been on my knees in a natural position, I fell backwards easily. Maria scraped together the yellow scraps of cloth and cotton bits, buried her face in them, and cried even more. Watching that, the other emotion welled up. It welled up rapidly, and then burst. I mean, she won't come around even when I apologize, and there's nothing I can do now anyway, and it's all Maria's fault in the first place. I mean, she can't make any friends because she's forever taken up with this make-believe stuffed animal thing. And that's why she's treated like a weirdo, and... you know. No, I don't know. Yeah, weirdo. This is a good opportunity for instructive guidance. It's not like I was pampered all the time myself. Things eventually break, are stolen, are broken. You and I had lots of toys and treasures stolen, broken, made fun of, and thrown away by my brothers and sister and father and mother. Although I might have cried about that, I might have shed a few tears. Not once did I sob like this in trouble with my parents. Throw a tantrum and get in a terrible mood. Pound and kick the floor and make a horrible racket. I always wanted to, but I thought I'd get in more trouble if I did. So I always held it in. I mean, that's the problem. You normalized it. You are trying to justify your actions here by telling yourself that you have been raised that way, which to you may seem normal, but It is not. Like, I cannot forgive what Kinzo did to you and the other siblings, but you cannot make Maria go through the same thing. Because you will become the same monster that your father was. It's because I held it in that I was able to become the wonderful adult I am now. Suddenly, I felt something strangely missing. The same feeling as when you use a tool recklessly, and it finally breaks, so that you're left holding onto the base. But I haven't been using a tool. I'd only be using my own two hands to hit Maria's head repeatedly. So, I looked at my hands. From my wrists onwards, my hands had snapped off, cracked off, and were gone. As though only those parts of my arms had become ceramic. No. Everything beyond my wrists literally had become ceramic at some point, and had broken and fallen. Cracks had formed in them because I had hit Maria too much, and they had fallen off. No, see? Aren't those my hands there, lying smashed by my feet? There was no pain, but the shocking sight of both my hands breaking off at the wrist made me scream. Ignoring my confusion, Maria said that with a very cold voice. She slowly moved her hands away from her head, where they had been defending against my barrage. Oh boy. Well, I cannot say that they didn't see this coming. It's Judgment Day yet again, it seems. A black silhouette was suddenly standing behind Maria. It was the silhouette of an adult. Who?
娘の頭をね、絵本をめくる。温かい食事を作ることのできる腕なら残しても良いかと考
え。ママはマリアの頭を撫でるより叩く方が多いよ。絵本なんかめくってくれない。ご飯だって作ってくれない。マリアが自分で買いに行くの。でも同じお店に何度も行っちゃいけないし、顔を覚えられてもいけない。おまわりさんに話しかけてもいけない。なんで？どうして？マリアが悪いの？マリアはママに撫でてもらったり、絵本を読んでもらったり、一緒にご飯を食べたりしちゃいけないの？どうして？どうして？マリア悪くないよ。マリア悪くない。ママが悪い。ママが悪い。ママは一緒に遊んでくれないけど、サク太郎は一緒に遊んでくれた。本も読んでくれた。テレビも見てくれた。一緒にご飯も食べてくれた。ママよりもっともっと大切な友達だったのに。
悪かったと思ってるわ。
Alright, Rosa. How do you respond to all this? Like, I'm not gonna lie, you do not have a good record, so I want to see you try harder than ever. Let's see.
でも仕方ないでしょ。ママは仕事で忙しいのよ。仕事で。ママの仕事が忙しいのは知ってるでしょ。仕方ないのよ。仕方ない。
そうだ。これは仕方なき。
But that is not good enough. You are basically using work as an excuse for all that you have done. And you've injured your daughter in the process. You have to try harder, Rosa. You have to try harder.
そなたの娘が傷つき、心を引き裂かれ、涙に血を浮かべることさえ、これは仕方なきこと。なれば今この場にてこのようなることになるもまた、すべては仕方なきこと。さあ、マリ、母を名乗った女の言い分は以上だぞ。許せるか、否か、無罪か、はたまた有罪か。
許せない。ママは有罪だ。作太郎にママがしたのと同じ目に合わせてやる。ママを首の縫い目のところから引き裂いて中の綿をぶちまけてやる。
Maria's eyes ominously flash blue. In an instant, invisible, massive arms stuck their fingernails out and grasped Rosa's entire body tightly. The bones all throughout her body made sounds like twigs being stepped on as they readily cracked and broke. Rosa vaguely understood. The massive arms are probably my own arms, from the time I tore Sakutaro apart. From a stuffed animal's perspective, my arms must certainly have been this massive. So I can imagine what would happen next. The sharp nail stuck strongly into the base of my neck, and I heard the skin tearing with my own arm, and I heard the skin tearing with my own ears. Then, washed over by the two witches, Rosa's flesh was split in two, top and bottom. And Sakutaro had been torn apart, and bits of cotton had flown about like snowflakes. But in Rosa's case, something like thick black tar came out, filthily flying all over the place. There wasn't even a trace of the red blood. It was something black, filthy and thick. It was probably what bloodless, tearless human kept inside their body instead.
これはすごい。醜い。なんと汚らわしき中身か。見事であったぞ、マリア。さあどうか。そなたの復讐はこれにて十分か。そなたは母を許せるか否か。無罪か有罪か。
許せない。まだまだ許せない。有罪だ。
Beatrice brandished her pipe wand, and a surge of gold butterflies regenerated Rosa's broken body in an instant.
「一つの命で償えぬほどのそなたの大罪、身をもって知れ。そして自らの深き罪を思い出す。さあさあ思い出してごらんなさい。そなたがどれほどの罪を犯したのか。
もしもし、ママなの？ママは何時に帰ってくるの？
ごめんなさいね。今日も仕事が忙しくて泊まりになってしまうの。
またお仕事でお泊まり？ママのお仕事、今日も大変だね。
ごめんね。本当に忙しいの。もうずっと会社に缶詰よ。外の空気も吸えやしないわ。ママの仕事は早く終わらすだけじゃダメなの。より良いデザインを上げないと次から仕事をもらえない大変な仕事なのよ。だからどうしても時間がかかっちゃうの。うん、分かってるよ。マリア、いい子でお留守番してるからお仕事いっぱい頑張って早く終わらせてお家に帰ってきてね。ママのお仕事を分かってくれてありがとう。明日美味しいケーキを買って帰ることを約束するわ。ケーキいらないよ。
ケーキ屋さんによって遅くなるより、その分ちょっとでも早くママが帰ってくる方が嬉しい。
大丈夫よ。早く帰ってくるわ、約束する。だから美味しいケーキを2人で食べて、美味しい紅茶を2人で飲んで、一緒に新しい絵本を読みましょう。この間買った狼と羊のパズルで遊びましょうね。2人で一緒に。約束よ。
約束。待ってるね。お仕事頑張ってね、ママ。
ほうほう、寂しい話ではあるが、互いを思い合う良き親子愛ではないか。何か問題があるというのか、マリ。そして
その約束は私はちゃんと守ったはずよ。次の日の夕方に約束通りケーキを買って、いつもより早い帰宅をしたはずよ。
マリアは知ってたよ。あの日の夕方ね、ママ宛てに着払いの荷物が来たけど、お財布の中のお金が足りなかったから、ママにどうしようって相談したくて会社に電話したの。特別な時以外はかけちゃダメって言われてたけど、ママのお仕事の大切なものだったら悪いしと思って電話したの。そしたらママはお休みだって言われた。その日はずっと前からお休みに決まってて、遠くへ遊びに行っているって言われたの。マリアは知ってたよ、ママが嘘をついてるって。ずっと知ってた。でもね、作太郎がそうじゃないってマリアを叱ってくれたの。ママは毎日お仕事でとても大変。マリアを放っておいて遊んでるはずなんてないって。ママはお休みって言った人はきっと何か勘違いして言ってしまったんだよって。作太郎がそう言うんだもん。マリアは信じたよ。マリアは信じた。ママ大好き、ママ大好き。もちろんママだってマリアを愛してる、愛してるって。
ええ、私もよ。愛してるわ、マリア。
Rosa let out a deep sigh. Maybe she felt the weight of her words. Then, she set the receiver back on the bedside phone. The dark room made the window side view of the starry sky on the ground stand out even more beautifully. On the table in front of that terrace was a very cold wine cooler, and the one she was enjoying the glass with was gazing at the scene below.
娘さんに旅行って話してないんですか？
行くって言って前にうるさかったんで、以来言わないことにしてるんです。その方が面倒がなくていいんで。
娘さんが気になるなら無理に日程を組まなくてもよかったじゃありませんか。
でもそれじゃいつまで経っても予定が合わないし、それは気にしないでって言ったでしょ。
The slender middle-aged man clad in a white robe gave a small sigh. Rosa reacted sensitively to that slight action.
もう娘の話はなしにして。せっかくの上等なワインが台無しよ。
私はあなたに一人の人間としても女性としても魅力を感じています。ですが、だからこそあなたのとして時間を割くのは申し訳ないと感じています。
私と娘の事情は気にしないでくださいっていつも言ってるじゃないですか。あなたと二人きりの時に娘の話はしないようにしているでしょ。電話だって下のロビーでうるさい酔っ払いがバカ笑いしてなければここではかけなかった。
ローザさん、こういう唐突な日程での旅行は娘さんのためにも今後は少し考えませんか？互いの日程があった時だけでいいじゃありませんか。
それじゃ全然日程が合わないじゃないですか。私はいつだって一緒にいたいのに。
それは子供の恋愛の仕方です。大人同士の恋愛はもう少しストイックであるべきですよ。ローザさんと一緒にいられる時間が長く取れないことは僕も寂しいです。ですがその限られた時間と機会で僕たちは十分に大人の恋愛を楽しめていると思いますよ。
それはもっと娘と一緒にいろと、女でなく母でいろということですか？
あなただって望んでいることでしょう。娘さんと一緒にゆっくり過ごしたいとあなただって思っているはずだ。僕は逃げません。僕との時間を優先するために娘さんを犠牲にするのは気の毒だと申し上げたいのです。
奥さんとのより戻したんですか？別れるのが嫌になったんですね。
妻の話はしたくない。あなたが娘さんの話をしたくないのと同じです。
子連れの女は面倒だって思ったんでしょう。
そんなこと今までに一度も言ったことはありませんよ。
みんな子連れだと分かると手のひらを返す。あの子の養育費は気にしなくていいからと言ってもみんな手のひらを返す。あなたは娘のことを理解してくれてると思ったのに、やっぱり子連れだと嫌なんですね。
そうは言っていません。ローザさんのことを嫌いになってなどいませんよ。私が言いたいのは娘さんをもっと大事にしなさい。あなた自身もそれを望んでいるはずだ。だから娘さんに嘘をついて自らを傷つけてほしくない。そう言ってるだけなんです。
嘘つき！私のことが面倒になっただけ。そうでしょ？
そんなことは言っていない。
いいえ、わかるの。私にはわかるわ。あの子を理由に何度も捨てられた私だからわかるの。雰囲気でわかるわ。そうよ、あなたもそう。他の男たちと一緒。子連れの女は嫌なのよ。バツイチは嫌なのよ。面倒なのよ。知らない男と作った子供の親になんかなりたくないんでしょ？ええ、そうよね。その気持ちすっごいわかるわ。子連れの男と付き合ったことがあるけど、その気持ちすっごいわかったの。だから娘を理解してくれるあなたとなら一緒になれるって信じたのに。そうよ、あんたなんて邪魔だったのよ。あんたさえいなければ私はとっくに女としての幸せをつかめたのよ。
Horrible answer. Downright horrible.
あんたの存在が私の幸せをいつも邪魔するのよ。私だってあんたなんか産みたくなかったわよ。いいえ、違うわ。あんたと一緒に幸せな家庭を築けたらと思ったわよ。でもあんたが生まれる直前にあいつは蒸発したわ。私と温かい家庭を築くと言って私を騙し、永遠に私の前から消え去ったわ。残ったのはあんただけ。愛も思い出も何もない。あの男は今どこへ？私との日々を温かな思い出に勝手に変えて新しい恋人に出会ったかもしれない。そして今度こそ幸せな家庭を築けたかもしれない。そして私はあんたがいる。恋も探せない。男は好きに女を渡り歩いて武勇伝気取り。なのに女には、私にはあんたがいる。あんたという重しがいるのよ。あんたのせいで私は恋を探せない。愛が得られない。一人で生きていくしかない。いいえ、それさえも許されてないわ。私には 一人で酔いつぶれたい夜さえ許されていない。あんたは誰？何者？私の人生を台無しにして私の新しい人生さえ許してくれないあんたは私の人生の何者なのよ。死ね！消えろ！あんたなんか生まれてきた時から大嫌い。あんたがお腹の中にいた頃から大嫌いだった。それを前向きに受け入れようと頑張って良き母を演じてきたわ。私は頑張った。同世代の女性たちが独身を謳歌し、時に恋に遊び、あるいは愛に結ばれるのを横目に見ながら、私は女と母の二足のわらじを吐き続けたわ。その私の苦労を誰がねぎらったの？誰も褒めない、称えない。自業自得、子持ちは嫌。負け組の遠吠え、うぶな小娘がいい？こっちから願い下げよう。ケツの青い若造どもが。必死だった私はさぞかし簡単に落ちる女に見えたろうさ。必死だったわよ。まだまだ恋をしたい年頃の私が日々を仕事と育児で忙殺されていき、このまま老いてこのまま人生を終えるだろうと悟った時、どれほど必死だったか想像もつかないでしょうよ。あんたの本当の父親ももちろん憎いわよ。でも破局を迎えた責任は私と彼に半々だわ。私にも逃げられるだけのしつこさがあったのかもしれない。でもその後の破局は全部あんたのせい。私はあんたにそれをなじったことはあった？ないでしょ。男に逃げられて酔いつぶれたいその次の日があんたの授業参観。泣き晴らした目を厚化粧でごまかして、あんたが的外れな発言をしてクラス中から失笑されてた時の私の気持ちなんてあんたどころか世界中の誰にもわからないでしょうよ。あんたが嫌い、大嫌い。そしてこれまでにあんたを本当に愛したことなんて
Maria's face was frozen. If words were really blades, Maria's whole body would probably have been stained red with fresh blood by now. Wow! Wow. Well, there are two options here. One would be that I could take everything that has been said here at face value. And the second option would be that this entire thing here is powered by what Maria thinks her mother's true nature is. If it's the first option, then Rosa truly has a very high mountain to climb. If it's the second option, then, well, on top of Rosa having to climb a huge mountain, we're also seeing Maria's faults in regards to her mother now. Either way, despite Rosa's painful past, what she said here is terrible. Horrible. Like, this is the worst thing a mother could ever say to their child. Like, you're seriously making this very hard for me, Rosa. You're making this hard for me. Even after gaining the power of a witch and resolving herself to take revenge for Sakutaro, she can't stand these curses coming out of her mother's mouth.
Minikui. 情欲に溺れた女のなんと醜きことか。これがこの女の本性よ。 邪悪を極めし千年の魔女のわらわとて見るに耐えぬことこの上なし。ああマリアよ、今こそ決別の時。
Yeah, you're making this hard for Beatrice as well, for Pete's sake. Like, I seriously thought that maybe you would reflect on your actions here and maybe show some sincere, honest regret here, but nope. Now it is all going down the hill. If I am to take everything I see here at face value. If this is all powered by Maria's magic and this is what she thinks of Rosa's true nature, though, then it's still painful to watch. I mean, Christ.
そなたの母を名乗った醜き肉の塊を打ち砕け。そなたの無垢なる魂が親子なる鎖にてこれ以上束縛される意味はなし。自らの魂を自らの手で今こそ解放せよ。そなたは自らを守る牙と爪を今こそ手に入れたのだ。
マリアを苦しめてきた日々を今こそ思い知らせてやる。苦しみの日々を今こそ復讐してやる。
その私を苦しめてきたのはあんたじゃない。私が復讐したいくらいよ。あんたが生まれる前にそうすればよかった。あんたなんか産まなければよかった。消えてしまえ。うわ
As Rosa howled, her upper body was crushed in a way that can only be described by the word splat. In an instant, was turned into something similar to a wrung, blood-stained tongue.
潰れてしまえ。許せない。許せない。
クズがふさわしい姿よ。
Even though everything from Rosa's waist downwards was upright as normal, the upper half of her body alone was crushed. The extreme difference was altogether bizarre. Then she fell over, but her body was regenerated the instant she fell.
死になさいよ。
さあマリア、そなたの怒りと悲しみこの程度のものなのか。今こそ復讐の時、怒りと悲しみの生産の時。ぶつけろ、吐き出せ。そなたの胸に打ち込まれたくさびをすべて押し出し跳ね返せ。
Maria's howl was covered by the ugly sound of flesh and bone, being simultaneously crushed. As Rosa, who had foully insulted Maria, lay spread eagled. A neat, perfectly circular area of her chest was squashed into a pulp, as though it had been trampled by an invisible elephant. Her heart and her lungs and her ribs were trampled so mercilessly that they were completely indistinguishable. That might have symbolized the pain in Maria's heart up until today.
さあマリア、そなたの気はこれで晴れたの。母の罪が許せる。否か無罪か有罪か。
許せない。まだまだ全然許せない。ママは有罪だ。有罪有罪有罪。許せない。
無論だとも。そなたの苦渋の日々がこの程度の罰で見合ってなるものか。思い知るがいいローザ。さあさあ思い出してごらんなさい。そなたがどんな姿をしていたのか。殺されるためによみがえれ。己が罪を見そぐために殺されよ。何度でも。
Beto waved her wand. Her body was regenerated again, and Rosa sat up, coughing violently in pain. And once again, she spat out curses rejecting Maria.
お前はママなんかじゃない魔女だ。マリアとママを苦しめる魔女だ。ママの姿をしているからって許さない。許さない。
魔女はあんたでしょ。気持ち悪い本ばかり読んで魔女ごっこにかぶれて消えるのはあんたの方よ。あんたのせいで私まで変わり者扱い。あんたのせいであんたのせいでお前なんか産まなければよかった。お前なんか生まれてくるな。生まれてくる前から大嫌いだったのよ。
Maria screamed. Was she unable to bear her anger and sadness? Or else was she taken over by an indescribable emotion? It was surely a cry of hopelessness. And yet, this was the reality that had to be accepted. Even Maria knew. She had known that she was thought of as a nuisance. But even though she knew it, she did not believe it. She believed that she was loved by her mother, and all the various events that should have made her doubt this. She did her utmost to interpret in a positive light, trusting and clinging to her mother's love. But she had no one except her mom. And despite all this, she really did love her mom, and wanted to return to the days when she could still believe that her mama loved her too. So, she howled. She brought everything to nothing. She would not accept it. She denied it. She denied the Black Witch making her mother say such things. And the part of herself that couldn't forgive that mother. But she couldn't deny it. And this was reality, fact, truth, the answer. Unmistakable, absolute reality. Maria turned Rosa into a lump of meat over and over. In the dark roar that reflected her heart, over and over it echoed. That ugly sound which would make one want to cover their ears. Of flesh and bone being torn apart. Each time, Beatrice revived Rosa. She dragged her back into the world of endless torture, from which even death was no escape. And this was the true deepest hell that the endless witch Beatrice could create. However, this world was not made of endless by Beatrice's will. Because every time Rosa turned into a lump of meat, Beatrice asked the same question of Maria.
気は晴れたか、マリア。そなたの怒りは母を許せるか。
許せるものか。許せるものか。許さない。許さない。マリアの苦しみのすべてを教えてやる。もっともっと教えてやる。まだまだ足りない。全然足りない。生まれた時から、生まれる前から蔑まれてきたこの怒りと悲しみがどうしても消せないの。
あんたなんか大嫌い、大嫌い。
Again and again, she revived her. Again and again, she returned her to a lump of meat. In all kinds of ways, she crushed her, smashed her, beat her, and tore her to bits. Flying blood spatter and flesh had by now turned the once pitch black road into a mix of red and black. This is gonna be a long day, isn't it? Maria's anger was still not settling down. It was as though she was disgorging all the rage she had suppressed from the time of her birth until today. If all that was poison to her heart, then would the repeated murder of her mother purify her soul? Could these pointless atrocities save her soul even just a little bit? And this endless torture might have started serving as a slight diversion from her sad and unrewarded life. After all, it seemed that she had finally been able to regain her smile.
私の痛みがこの程度ではないことを。どうしたの？もう笑わないの？笑ってみせろよ。
Her skull collapsed. Eyeballs flew out, and black cranial fluid gushed. Man, I gotta say, I have seen so many ways a person can die, like right in front of me. Fragments of teeth scattered.
ほら、よみがえりなよ。笑ってみせなよ。ほら、ほら。
Her whole chest along with her ribs turned inside out, spewing her filthy innards everywhere around her. All of them writhed, looking like some kind of foul creature.
ほらほらほら。よみがえって。まだ笑える？まだ笑える？
Rosa couldn't let her laugh anymore, but her face was laughing. It was covered with a twisted laugh, which was filled with a mouth that rejected her unwanted daughter. I erased that laughing voice. Next, I'll erase that laughing face. I mean, you know, it's not like I'm into torture porn or anything. It has never been in my job description. Like, do I really have to sit through this entire thing? I'll erase it. I'll crush it. I'll tear it to bits. Oh! Okay. A little too much witchy ham there. I mean, come on.
どうしたのママ？起きてよ。絵本を読んでよ。お散歩に行こうよ。愛してるって言ってよ。次の日曜日の約束をしようよ。お買い物に行こう。映画に行こう。そしてその約束をどうせ破るんだよ。楽しいねママ。楽しいね。マリアは今ママと遊んでるんだね。
そうだ、そなたは今母と遊んでいるのだ。じゃれているのだ。どうか今の感情は怒りでも悲しみでも苦しみでもないは
うん、そうだね。わかるよベアトリーチェ。私は今すっごく楽しいよ。ママと遊んでるんだもん。すっごく楽しい。そしてママを何度も何度も殺してるのに魔法一つで好きなだけ生き返らせられる。おもちゃは壊したら直せないから大事にした。でも治るおもちゃなら何度でも壊したい。でも作太郎は治らないんだね。治せないんだね。作ったママが産んだママが認めないから。私もママに認められてないんだね。だから壊れたマリアももう治らないんだね。楽しいな。楽しいよママ。こんなにも楽しくなったらなぜかママが許せる気がしてきたの。ねえベアト、これはとっても不思議な感情。どうしてマリアはママを許せる気持ちになってきたの？
それは生き死にを自由にできる力を得た魔女のみがたどり着く達観の境地よ。いつでも殺せる。必要ならよみがえらせる。面倒ならまた殺せばいい。それをいつでも 指一本鳴らすだけでできることを知ったなら、人の世のざれ言などそのすべては聞き流すに等しい虫の声いいかよ。そなたに母を許そうという感情が芽生えたのは、そなたが母の愛に目覚めたからではない。そなたが今こそ真の魔女の世界の入り口に立ったからだ。ようこそマリア、深淵なる、そして甘美なる魔女の世界へ。
なったんだ。マリアはもうマリアじゃない。まだ見習いかもしれないけれど、人間の世界を超えた。私はもう原初の魔女見習いマリアなんだ。もう私は何も悔しくない、悲しくない。ママ、許してあげるよ。きっと私はママを許せる。もうちょっとしたら許せると思うの。だって魔女だから。
Maria probably would forgive her mother eventually, after brutally murdering her countless times. Generously.
No. でけえな、今の落雷は。
Finally. Finally, we're done with that. Yeah, Umineko, like, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want from me, Umineko? Like, what are you trying to do here? Do you want me to give up on these humans? Like, why do you have to try and make me feel as if there is no hope for these humans? I mean, if this is what you're trying to do, then you're a huge asshole. Like, I'm not giving up on Maria and Rosa, damn it. Fucking asshole.
近いんじゃねえか。
みたいだね。いくつになっても落雷にはビクッとさせられるね。
Whatever. I'm done.